This is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. I'm about to go into what we sold over the weekend. So finally, this is like what a normal weekend felt like. I want to say like last year at least, or maybe more the first half of last year and a lot of 2023. Pretty good weekend. All right, first up is this right here. This is going to be a Twister spin board, which is ironic because when I was going through a bunch of board game bits and pieces, I laughed when I pulled this out. And I was like, you know what? I never know what people are going to buy. This is probably like one of the few things where I had a doubt. I'm like, do I even list this? So I listed it for like $10 or something. Someone sent a $7.50 offer. I took it. So I was like, okay, cool. I guess I shouldn't doubt the random stuff like that. Maybe someone just wants a replacement Twister spin board and they don't want to buy the whole game because maybe the board big game costs a lot of money because it's like a bigger box. All right, moving along, we have this. I can't unfurl it just because I have too much stuff on here, but this is two board game maps for a game called Carcassonne, super popular one. You're placing like a little tiles, and then when you place tiles, you can like score stuff if you like make them complete within like a shape or a circle type of thing. And then these mats are from Board Game Geek, which is a popular board game website. So yeah, they're official. They have a nice little vinyl feel in the front. Like I said, unfortunately, I can't unfurl them, but the two posters, it's the west side and the east side, sold for $44.98, which is awesome. All right, next up is going to be something that I buried, of course. This is an old purchase from 2020, like when we were first going to Goodwills and stuff. This is a John Deere. This is like one of those tin, like aluminum thin, like poster things. They were pretty popular early 2020 or the mid of 2020. People were like buying a bunch of these things. So Annette bought a bunch. This is one of our last few ones that we have left. We were usually paying like a quarter or 50 cents or a dollar on like half off day. But yeah, this ended up selling for $10, so nothing too fancy. We sold some better art ones for more. That one's pretty nice because it has like also a little doggy on there and stuff too. All right, moving on, we have C3I magazine right here. The Soviet Dawn, the Russian Civil War. So this is the magazine, but the important thing is it has the game. So it has all the cards, the little tokens they use to play the game, and then the map as well. So these magazines still sell without the game because they have the rules for the game. Plus, they have like other stuff in them about wargaming and historical gaming. But yeah, the game makes a lot more. This ended up selling for $17.99. All right, moving along. I don't know if it's like Minecraft, but this little car right here, this like truck is labeled. What was it labeled? I wrote it down. Minecraft DXT 26 or 76. Little Hot Wheel car. We get a bunch of these little cars in auctions. Sometimes I'll do lots. Sometimes I'll just look them up and do them individually, depending on like my mood or if the lots look aesthetic. If they're all like red cars or something like that. I don't know too much about cars, but this is something that Annetta got me onto because she would buy like big bins of them for like $5-10 in auction. They sell for more now in auction, but there was a period where she got a bunch for really cheap. I think I've listed all of them at this point. But yeah, this ended up selling for $5. Like I said, nothing too crazy. Probably paid for her whole auction that she bought. All right, moving along, we have Monster Apocalypse. So that is the old Privateer Press game where you would purchase collectible booster packs. You get like a big kaiju or a monster robot. You get a bunch of little units. They're called the grunt units. And then you can also get buildings. These are buildings that the monsters can like slam each other into and stuff like that. And then the buildings also on the edges, they have all these special powers. They also have their own rarities. So I put these 6 together. It's like the hospital. I think this is downtown high rise, and then this is a TV network high rise. So I put these buildings all together. You need a bunch to play the game if you want to have options for your monsters and cool stuff like that. Really fun game. $26.24 for this. Got a bunch of Monster Apocalypse stuff recently. There's also different versions of the game. There's like now I think currently there's a kind where it's like metal pieces or resin where you have to like glue them together, but these were like the ones that just came pre-made, pre-painted. So yeah, I don't think the one where you have to put them together did well. All right, that's all I know where that's at right now. Moving along, we have a Starfleet booklet. So Starfleet is the Star Trek game. Did I forget to bring it out here? No, I did not. It's just under, I just put stuff over it as well. It's hard to keep everything organized and go in order. All right, Starfleet Battles, Captain's Basic Set SSD book right here. Really cool stuff. I always find this stuff at like an uncommon rate. So yeah, there's like all these little boxes and ship like health and stuff like that. So cool. This is unmarked one. This is like the Captain Fleet's little log book. You get these in like their starter sets. And I don't think this Starfleet Star Trek RPG game is as popular because this stuff sells slower for me. It is vintage. This is from 1990. It sold for $11.24. It's going to go to someone that appreciates it. All right, moving along, we have the Counterspell card, but this is not the Magic the Gathering Counterspell, so it's going to be really hard to list this. Where did I put this? I'm just, okay, under here. Sorry, guys. I'm doing my best here. This is the World of Warcraft trading card game. This is the rare Counterspell. It does almost the same thing. This is from the base set. The problem with this one, like I just mentioned, is there's a popular Magic the Gathering card called Counterspell. So this is just called Counterspell. So I have to do my best to make sure that World of Warcraft trading card game shows up. So this one ended up selling for $8 as a rare, which is really good for, and more than Magic the Gathering. Well, I guess it depends on if it's foil or not, or what version of it. But yeah, $8 for this one. I had another one, so it went ahead and relisted it. All right, moving along. So sleepy. I feel like I'm like a day behind, even though I'm not. And I'm going to spend a bunch of time on eBay today, organizing, listing, shipping this video. But yeah, I still feel like I wish I could be like a time wizard and just get another day. I just need one more day. All right, we have these two combo order. It's 2 Elite Trainer boxes. No, they're not full, or else they'd be worth a lot more. Pokemon's always been pretty popular. The cards, I would say, even more popular than like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! I would say the only thing more popular card-wise than Pokemon is going to be sports cards. Huge realm there. All right, so this is the Scarlet 151, which is from, I think, 2023. And then Fusion Strike, I want to say this is 2019, 2020, 2018, like around there. All right, so these end up selling for $24 as a combo order. People still use these empty containers for collections, for cool bookshelves pieces. This literally holds decks, cards, sleeves. You can even put miniatures if you want in it. So whatever you want. Toys, it's good for parents to get for their kids as like almost like a present wrapping. So instead of like a gift box or like a gift bag, you can just put like their gift in a cool Pokemon box, and then they have space to put all their cards, so they're not all over the ground, because kids do that with their cards. All right, moving along, we have Zombicide. This is 78 cards. I forgot what particular like thing. I think it's like a bunch of basic weapons for the game. I only played the game once. Was not my type of game, but I know people love this game, and it got people into the company, cool mini or not. Zombicide's like their main game. So yeah, this is a bunch of extra cards. There's also some like zombie noise cards that tell you like when you're making noise, like how many zombies appear. Like I said, I played once, all the way more than 10 years ago at this point. This is an older game. All right, so yeah, I got a bunch of these cards. This ended up selling for $9.59. All right, moving along, we have a PC manual, Tri-M Mercenary Academy. I haven't played this game. It looks like it's by Activision, so super cool, like a little manual. I like to get the PC manuals. Occasionally I'll find like a bunch of these at like estate sales and stuff. I can usually do like a bulk deal, like make a pile of like cool ephemera on paper, and then I get a good price, usually pretty low, because people don't really care generally about or like people at estate sales don't care about like random books and manuals and stuff like this. I love this stuff. $12.14. There are times where I've found like big winners for rare PC games and stuff like that, or video games. But people are more aware of like video game console stuff than the PC stuff. All right, next up we have an Undead Fans. So this one's super interesting right here. I guess I already had it taped up, ready to go. By Ironwind Metal Miniatures right here. It's these like little ants metal miniatures, because it was weird because before I got this in the sealed package, I had a bunch of individual ones, and they looked, I'm like, these look like ants, but they had weird, like it'll be like a crossbow on their back or like a sword on their back, and I had the hardest time finding out what they were. And then the previous owner from the auction put like fans on them. I'm like, fans, are they mean ants? Like, did they spell it wrong? No. So I listed those as not fans. I just listed them as like ants with all their details. Later on, I ended up getting this package, which is actually, it says Undead Fans on them. So it actually says the fans. So I was like, oh, that was actually like their legit name. It was just like really hard to, it just wasn't coming up. All right, so yeah, these, even though there wasn't that many on eBay, these still only sold for, what was it, $9.72, I guess. Big ants that you ride aren't super popular, although they have a game Annette and I are excited about. This is segueing to the video game. We played Grounded together, and then the next game, Grounded 2, is coming out next month. Ooh, I'm super excited. Think Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and then you're fighting and building up a little base, and then you have to battle different types of bugs and stuff. So super cool game. All right, Sorry, that just reminded me of that. The new game's gonna have mounts. You can actually like ride ants and stuff like that. Where the first game you cannot. You could get pet ants, but all right. Moving along, we have Games Workshop. I have 2 Games Workshop things, so I am all over the place today. I really am. Didn't have my coffee yet because you want to wait an hour or so after you wake up before you have caffeine, because then the reason why you do that is your brain will not, it will stop producing the chemical that wakes you up if you replace it with different caffeine. You eventually get over that by having like bad headaches, which is why people get caffeine headaches if you just endure the headaches, which is painful. But you got to wait an hour. If you wait an hour, then you have caffeine. Your brain already released the chemical that wakes you up, and then you don't get that groggy feeling when you wake up in the morning. And that's why people wake up and they're like, "Oh, I gotta have my coffee before I'm alive." It's because their brain's not producing that chemical. It will eventually have a turnaround. All right, enough with that. 11 of these Games Workshop square miniature bases. These are important because they are official Games Workshop. They say GW on the back. They'll have different years. These are from, I think, 1991. So they have these. They're important because a lot of people just like the official stuff. You can buy cheap bases if you want, but some people just, you know what they want. They're already spending up for their old Warhammer stuff or their new stuff, and they just want it official. They also have these little slits on them, so you like place in the little miniature like sideways, so it might be like a little goblin like shooting with a bow, or a little dwarf with this hammer above his head. These are the small ones, so there's gonna be like goblins, dwarves, the skavens, which are the rats, so the smaller ones. So yeah, these official ones end up selling for $12.37. So yeah, like I said, the official bases are way better than like generic bases. They're both fine. It just depends on if you as a player cares or not. All right, Snowdonia, is that what this one's called? Snowdonia right here. This is going to be the Trans-Australian Railway and the Daffodil Line. This is an expansion pack to a board game, not one I've ever played. No box, so it just has all of the cards. It has the rule sheet. I just looked it up on BGG to see if it was complete. It was complete. So yeah, this is interesting. Railroad games are super popular. It's like almost like its own genre in board games. I've only played a couple. People have probably heard Ticket to Ride. That's kind of like the lowest to the ground type of railroad game. There are some, I think they're called either 18x, 24x, or 36x or something, railroad games, which is something that I do want to play one day. They're basically these massive games where you kind of have to get like a convention table, or like people rent out like hotels, or like those, you know, those rooms, and they lay out like big, like this table right here wouldn't even be big enough. You lay out like a big thing and you play this massive, cool, complicated game where you're like moving cargo along, you're getting resources. Sometimes these games have like stock markets on the side related to like delivering stuff. Super cool. I'm like geeking out just thinking about being able to play it. But yeah, $10.12. People love the railroad games. They love trains in general. They love their train like little man cave things that they make in the basement. We've seen a bunch of those. They're super cool. All right, I'll move along. We have 4 police items right here. This is a combo order. Interesting because the person, I saw their shop, all they do is like sell and collect police stuff. I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting. It's like a very aesthetic eBay store. They bought 3 of these Road Champs, different police cars. I forget which ones they are. It doesn't say like directly on them. Does it say directly on them? No, it does not. So yeah, I just looked them up at the time. So we have 1 right there. 2. These are pretty good quality. I think the Road Champs like little background looks a little dopey, but the actual cars look like pretty good quality cars. So especially for a collector. And 3rd one right here. And then what was the 4th one? They didn't get a Road Champs. Oh, they got this pretty good quality. This is a Highway Patrol. It's going to be like a little crane that comes and like picks up debris and other cars and stuff. Really good quality one. Combo order was for $45, or it was like right under $45. Super cool that's going to a home with someone that collects police cars. And also interesting because I got a lot of police car stuff and just police stuff in general from someone who bought a storage unit, which was a police person, like collector, you know what I mean? They collected stuff as well. So really interesting. It's going from a police collector to a storage unit flipper to me to another police collector. Kind of cool to think about. All right, next up is going to be this Risk Legacy. So if you're going to ever play this game, I would ignore the next like 20 seconds or so because it is technically a spoiler. But yeah, Risk Legacy right here. These are going to be the little mutant faction figures right here. They're orange. Risk Legacy is a Risk board game. It's probably my second favorite board game I've ever played, and I've played a couple thousand at this point. Such a cool experience. A legacy board game is a board game where there is usually play campaign, so a set number of games with the same group of people, like usually 10, 12, 14, or 16. The game will tell you how many you play, and then you make permanent changes to the game, as in you might rip up some cards, you might put stickers on the board or cards to change them, you might have to Sharpie stuff. You get to make permanent choices based on who wins and loses, or if certain things happen. In the Risk Legacy, when a certain thing happens, I forgot exactly. I'll just make up something. Let's say if someone puts out 30,000, someone puts 30 troops down on the map, you open up a container. One of the containers was this mutant faction. The Risk Legacy, you have different factions that can get permanent changes to. Like there's like a bear faction where you can make a permanent change to them, where if they roll 3 of the same number, no matter what it is, you actually destroy all of the opposing units in the territory you're attacking. So stuff like that. This little replacement packet of figures sold for $6. That's the whole army. I know that's not a lot, but yeah, I think I technically have one of the new game Risk Legacy listed for like between 45 to 50. So yeah, go ahead, grab that game. It's my second favorite board game. All right, moving along, we have Raging Heroes. This, I got a bunch of this stuff. I don't know too much about it. So these are like, I think all I got was like ladies with, they were all like women, I think. And then there was a bunch of sci-fi girls with like guns and stuff. So that's what I think this is. I got a bunch of like fantasy Valkyries, like javelins, swords, and stuff like that. Try to look into like what these were. So at auction, I got like 10, 12, 14 bags for $2 a piece. No one was bidding on them. I'm like, sure, $2 a piece. I had a bunch of miniatures in each of them. So I was like, okay, I think I can do okay with this. I think there's someone from the UK that makes the Raging Hero like lines and stuff. I think it might be one person, but like I said, I couldn't fully figure out, but I still ended up listing them all as Raging Heroes, the millimeters, and like what they were labeled at the auction. So yeah, these ended up going for $12. So that paid for all of the miniatures I got. I've sold this before slowly. They're selling slowly. I don't know if it's its own game or if you use these as like substitutes. So if you need a sci-fi lady, if you need a fantasy Valkyrie or something. So it's one of the two. All right, normally I know a little bit more about that stuff, but it intrigued me. I will keep an eye out for it because I made decent money and people do like it, apparently, because they're picking them up slowly. All right, moving along, we have these Mantic games. That's just like a company that makes like cheaper miniatures. These are 12 zombies. So they're still in the sprues. I just counted like all their heads and bodies and their feet and stuff, and I got some bases. This is when I went through that bin of miniature bits and pieces. I separated all the zombies. I made like, I think like 2 different lots. So yeah, these end up selling for $20.24. It's pretty good. Obviously, if someone's using zombies for a game or an RPG, they need a bunch of them. They're zombies, right? All right, moving along. Super awesome one. I asked up for this. So this is an EVE Online 2nd anniversary mug. Ooh, super cool, super cool. It is a mug, so it's not as crazy as like other collectibles. So EVE Online is an MMO space game. I played it for like a few months. It's just super involved. You play like a captain within like a spaceship. You're mostly just like playing your spaceship. It's been around for a long time. I think it's been around longer than World of Warcraft. It's MMO, massive multiplayer online game where you're interacting actually with other people. But yeah, you can, there's like crazy drama and stories that you can find on Reddit about this game. There's a lot of different like ships, and there's a lot of things you can do. You can do like mining, you can do like pirates, stealing from people's stuff. I think the game is set up where it's kind of like hardcore, where if like you lose your ship or if you lose like stuff or someone takes it, it's gone. The person gets to take it. There's a whole like auction, there's a whole like economy. Like I said, people can like role play pirates as little ships going around. There's big, like, I don't know if they're called guilds, but there are like big groups of people, and then they'll have like massive battles and stuff. So this is from their 2nd anniversary, which is crazy because it's been out for a while, and this is a mug. So I knew someone would eventually pay up for this. It is like a weird, you got to find someone who's into Eve. The game's super complicated. It was like way above my head. I'm sure if I spent more time on it, I would have been able to understand more. I played a little bit, lost a couple of ships, but I'm like, I don't have the time to devote to this, but it's a cool game. And I'm normally not into sci-fi, but super cool idea. So getting like a cool collectible from their 2nd year, when they've been around for probably like 20, 25 years or something, that sold for $37.49. That's a lot for a mug. All right, moving along, we have Mayfair Games Power Lunch board game. So this one is probably picked up because it's the a company that had Settlers of Catan before, the Mayfair. But then also Power Lunch was a game that they would demo a lot at Gen Con. So Mayfair Games was do this thing where if you go and demo their different games, they would give you these little banners that you would put on your badge. And if you collect enough banners at the, I think it was like on Sunday, you can like turn them in and get stuff. And you would also be entered into like drawings, like little tickets you get, drawings to get like really cool special collector's edition Catans and stuff. I think I've seen like them on eBay or at least online sell for a couple $1,000s and stuff. So like it's a really cool thing. So someone's probably having memories. They're either trying to collect all the Mayfair game stuff or they just like, hey, I remember I played that game. It was fun. I do remember demoing this. I don't remember too much about it. I do remember this Power Lunch one being kind of fun for like what it is. It's a little dopey. All right, I think it's like one of those games where like you're trying to figure out who's the betrayer type of person. All right, $11.24. All right, moving along. Omar Kanung. Kanung, is that how you say it? Kanung. All right, there you go. This is a Netrunner promo, alternate art card for a runner. Alternate art is just like it has more art and it's a different picture. The red just shows that it's a runner. Runners are the hackers in the game. You play as a hacker. Then there's also there's corporation. The other person plays as corporation. After you play your game, you then take out your corporation deck. They bring out their runner deck. So it's people like to collect the promo stuff. You would have to like earn this at a tournament. This ended up selling for $5, and another one's already relisted it. It's not too crazy, but Netrunner is a fun game. It is popular for people. All right. Next up, we have the 28 of the Games Workshop bases. Like I said, people pay up for these. These are the 1992. These are the circular ones with slits in the middle. The circular ones, I don't think Warhammer Fantasy has many circular ones, but I know that these are for their Lord of the Rings strategy battle game, which I think they've updated recently in the past 6 months or so. I don't, can you use the old stuff with the new stuff? I think the rules are new, but you can still use the old figures. I think. Or people probably just like they'll make it work. The stuff can be expensive, so they probably make it work with their friends. 28 of the circular Lord of the Rings bases from 1992 for $23. Like I said, that's pretty good for the miniature bases. All right, moving along, we have 2 micro armor right here. I got a bunch of these. I didn't know how to pair up the tank turrets, which is the top part, with the base, which is the hull. So I sold it. So, I mean, people have been picking up either as they've just been picking up random stuff. I still knew if I put World War II micro armor, 6mm metal, and then took good pictures that people would be able to identify themselves and they would pick up stuff. So these 2 little packets sold for $15.58. I had at least like 400 listings or something. I don't know. I lost track. It was quite the listing. It was easy because it was the same thing. So I was just going over and over and again, but I had to constantly wash my hands because I'm dealing with like the metal miniatures. And I'm also like looking at tiny stuff. My eyes were like cross-eyed while I was listing them. All right. Rogue Agent board game pieces right here. Rogue Agent is going to be, I think is it TSR? I don't think it's TSR, but it's going to be a board game where you're playing as little rogue spies. Has a little like cartoonish little box. This is not the box. This is just some pieces for it. These end up selling for $9. It is like a more vintage one. I want to say either early 2000s or late 1990s. All right, $9 for that is pretty good for board game bits and pieces. Moving along, we got some books. These are French Gazettes right here, Day Uniforms. These are 2 hardcover books. Yep, these are like a coffee table book. Pretty cool quality. I do like getting the different foreign language stuff, just in general, board games and ephemera and books. End up going for $24.30. All right, last item for the day. Whew, it's a lot. Then I get to have my coffee. Is going to be C3I magazine number 27. These are a bunch of the tokens for the games I was talking about like earlier, but this was like kind of like a little update kits thing from the magazine, I believe. So not all of the games are here. Some of them are missing, like as you can see right here, but then there's still other games that are here. And sometimes these are very easy to lose for people. So sometimes they might just want a couple of replacement tokens. But yeah, or they want this as a backup just in case if they do lose stuff. This sold for $20, which is pretty good for an incomplete token thing. It probably would have gone for more if it was complete. All right, that is everything. Let's see. Last thing, I've been playing some XCOM 2, but I've really been busy with just like eBay, organizing, listing the videos, a little bit of XCOM 2. And then Nana's been, she just started playing, she played a Plague Tale. I think that's what the game's called. She played part 2 before. She played part 1. She burned through it over the weekend. And then she started playing, what's it called? Oh, Atomfall. It's basically like a UK version, I think, of Fallout. Sorry, I'm trying to think here. All right, that's everything. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hope everyone had a good weekend.